Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson and my guest today is Robert Chain. And Robert is a skilled experimental marketing professional and event producer with expertise in live and virtual channels. As a leader at Freeman and RC2, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I'm sure he'll explain that to me. Bob focuses on strategy to develop multi-year events for association and corporate clients and transforms attendee experiences. Welcome, Robert. Can I call you Bob? Is that okay, or you're not happy with that?
No, Bob is okay, Rose. Thank you very much for having me on today.
Great. Tell me what experimental marketing is.
Yeah, so experiential marketing is really you can think of it more traditionally as your B2B trade-based events, extending out to, say, conferences, seminars, or even in some situations, corporate field marketing. So these are any time that historically a person has interacted with a brand, an idea, a theme, typically in person. And then obviously more recently, that has shifted into ways that people can experience either brands or ideas virtually as well, and hopefully down the road in more of a hybrid model as we start to see the integration of digital experiences with in person.
Yeah, that's what I niched to this year, was to become a hybrid working with hybrid speakers, because that's where the future lies, I do believe. So what is this RC2? What does that mean?
So that is actually my own personal brand. It's called RC Squared.
Sorry, yes,
My
okay.
Yes. So during my day job, I work with Freeman, who really is the leading expert that does live in-person events. So especially, they're a global brand, but if you are based in the United States, they help organize individual association or B2B conference brands, in-person engagements. And obviously, since earlier this year, due to the COVID pandemic, I had to kind of shift my work and my expertise to be a lot more of that digital first mindset, and in a way, really upskill myself. So what I ended up doing was developing this personal brand called RC Squared, which ultimately stands for Random Categories with Robert Chain. And it was my
Ah,
way to start to discuss with marketing leaders, a bunch of different aspects of how they're approaching digital, because it's something that I personally had never done in the past, and really almost taking that entrepreneurial step of, okay, I can't be the first person doing this. And there's people that are way smarter than myself. How can I lean on them to try and take some of those concepts and then further develop them into how I approach experiential marketing?
yeah, it's a good way to go, because, as you said, the pandemic has forced a lot of us that are on online marketing or online businesses or online services, whatever, to pivot to broaden their brand, I guess, and get ourselves more out there on the market. Do you like experimental marketing? I know you don't really market on social media, but what way can people perhaps use your concept in the social media world?
Yeah, so I think really, when you boil down experiential marketing to what is the most basic concept that we can just construct around, is really this idea of, community management. And, if you think of, whatever professional association you may be a part of. Really what they're doing is it's a very specific verticals audience and community. And for me, a lot of this type of, development and working can be used from social media specifically. And I think that specific channel is just one of many that can be used to be almost that hub. What we're seeing from a lot of individual brands, and I would say entrepreneurs who are maybe trying to bootstrap these type of concepts on their own, or are trying to be very budget conscious, because especially today, every CFO level individual is questioning every single line item. These are ways that you can continue to stay connected with those that you are trying to target the most in a consistent fashion. And, I know you mentioned social media. And for me personally, when I was developing, RC squared, a lot of my work was surrounding, okay, finding where my potential audience would be. So for my audience, it was, event organizers who oversee at least a, say, 1,000-person annual event. And that specific community lives within a professional organization chat forum. Say if I was, going after a different type of ideal customer profile, you could find them on Instagram. If, they're affiliate marketers, you can find them on any type of other specific channel. But I would highly recommend to just leaning where the highest percentage of your target audience is currently living. It's a lot easier to go to where they currently are than trying to organically develop something on your own, unless you're a, very large multinational corporation that can push additional SEO traffic and, funding behind it.
Yeah, I know funding is a big issue these days, and I know the online space is so busy now. It's really hard to get heard or even be seen. You got any thoughts around, getting more eyeballs on whatever it is you're doing?
Yeah, so I think that obviously, the one great advantage that has come out of this shift from in-person only to a digital first mindset within experiential marketing is that today our reach is limitless. 8 months ago, the chances of me speaking on a podcast or Vodcast with someone based in Australia would be minimal to zero. But through the development of, and more so integration of these things, it allows you to reach such a greater audience. And I think that with that, there's a need for intent with the type of content that's being put forth. Because obviously it's one thing to say, produce some type of material or produce a webinar, let's say, for example, and I get it in front of, 2,000 eyeballs, but it only connects with, say, 10% of that. Is that really being effective? Or is it maybe a different strategy to approach it of, okay, of those 2,000 eyeballs, which ones are the ones that I really want to make sure I connect with, and make sure that I'm segmenting the target so that they keep on coming back for more and more? Because if you don't get those, additional clickbacks, or you lose their interest after a few minutes, the opportunity to catch their attention is gone. I'm sure that similar to yourself, there's been so many, webinars that I've signed up for. And I feel like it's, I'm sitting on these hour-long calls of just thought leadership that are back to back. And, my attention is either going to my email or it is going to something else on my dual screen. And with that, the chances of me coming back to that specific brand's webinar for a second time or giving them a second chance is zero.
Mm.
So the opportunity that they had with me was gone just because, I mean, to their benefit or not, I organically signed up for it, but maybe their strategy should have been more, was I the appropriate audience they were going after to initially target?
Yeah, I know that I've signed up for a lot of webinars, and then, I listen to the first 10 minutes maybe, and I think, oh my God, this is so boring. How either the presenter's got a terrible voice, or the content's, terrible, or, it just goes on and on and on. And you've got to love those webinars where, the first half of it's talking about the presenter and not talking about the content. You think, well, what did I sign up for? I don't want to hear about you. I signed up to hear about what your offer is, what's your thing that you're going to teach me. So, that's really, I don't know. And I think this is where I've been trying to train people to, be better presenters.
Mm-hmm.
So that their presentations aren't boring, and they can use their slide decks and do whatever, and keep their audience entertained. But yeah, I think that that is a process, and a that's got to be followed through, and people need to take that on board, I think. What are your thoughts on that?
I really think you're starting to hit on a really big topic right there, which is obviously, the engagement. What will be your differentiator? And one of the things that I've seen is kind of being a very interesting concept that has come out over the past couple months comes from the Canton Fair, which is a very, very large sourcing fair that occurs biannually at the People's Republic of China. And the big thing is that, obviously with that country, they have some very, very large tech names that can be able to be implementing these new strategies very, very quickly. And the big thing that kind of came out of that was this true influencer model of connecting a virtual attendee with a live individual. And I really attributed this to almost a QVC model of connecting audiences with content, where you have an individual speaking, presenting, selling a product, say this pen. And then you are in a chat function communicating with me and everything like that. And the best thing that I've learned is I've seen a lot of those videos and that content come out and things like that, is that really we can lean on some of those very, very traditional, social media influencers, or those within your specific vertical that you believe are an expert. Take a look to see how they are putting out their content. By no means is there any shame in trying to replicate what you are seeing as successful. And I think that, once you start to get some traction with that, and, that's when you can really develop that differentiating factor to develop almost that unique value proposition for yourself and your content.
Yeah. So you are an online community host. What do you online community with?
Yeah. So part of RC Squared is obviously myself talking to different leaders within the experiential marketing space, and more so the way to provide thought leadership to organizers and corporate-based marketers who use experiential as just one of the many, tactics within their marketing stacks. And obviously it's one thing to have a, say, spoken webinar like a format that we're on today, but it's how do we get the community to start to, in a way, develop their own content and start to interact beyond, say, myself as a talking head. Because at some point, people listening to me, that gets boring. I can't even listen to myself, as I go back and edit some of the things, I get sick of my own voice. So it's almost trying to develop those new strategies and contact points to almost increase stickiness among your audience. And as an online community host, what I've started to do is um, almost do what I call roundtable strategy sessions, where I select, past uh, leaders who have come on to my events or webinars and things like that, and almost create a topic, and then everyone has 5 minutes to share their findings and things like that. And then really it's an idea that the community themselves are helping me develop content.
Yep.
And then down the road, it also allows me to listen to the audience to better assess, okay, is the content that I'm providing them of greatest value? Because there's a lot of times that I think that, this type of content is going to really hit, or this type of messaging is going to be what's most impactful. But in being able to hold almost these focus groups in a way, it has allowed me to really be able to lean on that firsthand experience of seeing what's most meaningful to them, and then adjusting my contact to that specific vertical.
Yeah, and a lot of repurposing can go into those sorts of situations as well, so that whatever you've learned or content that you've delivered out there, if as you say, if it's not sort of hitting the target, you can repurpose the bits that are targeting, and scrap the bits that aren't. So yeah, and okay, so and you are also down as a keynote speaker. Where have you spoken?
Yes, so I have spoken at XOrdoCon, which was early on in the pandemic. It was a virtual experience platform, and this was their first event where they completely went 100% virtual. And then later on this year, I'm going to be speaking at Expo, which is, of course, the exposition for exposition makers, because there's an expo for everything.
Yes, there is.
These days. And they are doing a hybrid event. So it is going to be a small gathering of in-person individuals, and then a larger community of virtual only. So that'll be a very interesting opportunity to connect with both live and virtual audiences.
It would be. It could pose its challenges, but I think overall it would be a very, interesting and perhaps dynamic event to participate in. And you have also said that you are an international event producer. Come on, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so I've actually had the opportunity to work with a couple brands that are based. So I'm based out of the United States of America, and a lot of my focus were domestic based events for a while. And fortunately, I've had the opportunity to take those brands and trying to replicate it in other places, primarily in EMEA, focusing in the United Kingdom and also Germany. And a lot of these were online lifestyle brands. So the nice thing about that was that, a lot of these had existing online communities that were very, very strong. And here in the United States, this was what the program that we developed really was, a way to get all of those online friendships and collaboration and things like that to be replicated actually face to face, because online, I'm just known as a handle. I'm known as my either gamer tag or something like that. So how do I, meet someone, put the face to the name, have that really authentic type of engagement? And it was really, really special to be able to do that, not only here in the States, but also in Europe as well, just because it was a different type of interaction. And I feel like it was almost of greater value and appreciation from in different parts of the world.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You've got an interesting background, Bob, and really, I don't know. You don't look very old, so you
Old enough.
old enough. Yeah. Well, one would hope so. So you also say that you are driven by connecting people in meaningful ways. So I know that because of what you do, that's
Mhm.
obviously connecting people, but tell us a little bit more about how you actually go about doing that. I mean, I know it's in the virtual space, but what other ways do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so I think that that's kind of like been my personal mantra during the entirety of my career. And the work that I do is that I've had the opportunity to be a part of um, some some oncology shows or like larger medical shows and things like that. And for me personally, it's the idea that okay, I put this on, but really the meaningful impact is, say two doctors meet at this event that I'm helping to do the strategy for, or I'm helping to produce. And that relationship would not have occurred in any other way, other than a passing by a communal sense or topic that they both shared and went to a session together. If that led to some type of, say, medical breakthrough, you know, oh my God, like
Yeah,
from a personal and standpoint, it's something that is just so special.
yeah,
And for me, it's every time I see an event opening, no matter the vertical, and you see that almost that organic sense of excitement that exists. The I want to go discover something that is new, something that I've never heard of. This new innovation within the space. That is something that is so special, and I think that that idea is something that anyone who is trying to put on an event, whether it be 100% virtual or hybrid or in person down the road, um, it's an idea that we must go back and always be true to, because it's that type of interaction and engagement between, you know, individuals, human beings, um, is that's really the secret sauce um, to any type of true integration between a person and a brand, or a few individuals.
yeah. I agree. I think I love it when people can connect, and if I've been the facilitator of that, it always makes me, a bit warm and fuzzy, because I think, well, I've put these people together, and something great might come out of it, and it's happened a couple of times, and I've really, really, yeah, it just gives me the warm and fuzzies. It's good. It's a good feeling.
Mhm.
Um, so, any last words for our peoples today about experimental marketing and how they can do that, especially if they're just starting out?
So I would say, one of the very interesting concepts that I heard was the idea of relationship equity. And if we go back to a pre-COVID time, you know, a lot of the relationships that we have between individuals um, are built off of years of relationships and work and time invested and all these other elements that the things that we're finding out is that equity is getting thin. So I would say that anyone who is looking to get into the space, to find your authenticity to your target audience and find that content which is most meaningful to them, and reaching thousands of people, if that is what your ultimate goal is, that should not be the first goal on your list. It should be finding the content that is reaching that audience first, and then making sure that it hits with, say, 100 people first. If it does, expand on that idea. If it doesn't, then you haven't wasted 1,000 names trying to reach them. So try to be efficient in that process and make sure that it's a very scientific process as well of hypothesize, test, debrief, reassess, and go test again.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a process, and people just need to. There's no quick fix to it either. There is processes that really you need to follow. Otherwise, nothing will be successful. You just keep running around in circles and nothing will work. Anyway, I would love to chat with you further about your experimental marketing. I have some things I have planned, and I think that your concept would be absolutely excellent for me to get into. So yeah, that would be great, and perhaps we'll get you back on when you've come back from this virtual conference that you're going to be speaking at. That would be great if you just want to put it up in Matchmaker, and we'll touch base again, because I think it'll be really interesting to hear what the outcome of that was. Yeah.
No, that definitely sounds great, Rose. It was a really pleasure to be on and join the Vodcast.
Yeah.
And always happy to collaborate and connect again.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, and have a great evening.
Thanks, Rose. Talk soon.
Bye.